Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the Board of Education meeting. And I have just a couple of quick things before we get into the agenda. This board meeting can be seen on Spectrum Channel 5 and 10 every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and every Saturday at 10 a.m. So if you'd like to revisit this meeting, you may do so. I'm looking across my audience and I'm not seeing any elected officials unless you're hiding. So there you have it. At this time, we are going to move to a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance from Mr. Feely. So if we could have a moment of silence, please.
If you're able to, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we will move to approve the agenda. There are two small amendments for it. One is policy on school safety discussion, and one is our presentation from Dr. Norfleet on safety this evening. We are going to put that under, F, item 1 and 2. 1 will be policy, 2 will be presentation. And then also this evening under item E, we need to pull our student representative. He was at a lacrosse game and unable to make it with us tonight. So those are the amendments to the agenda. Is there a motion to accept the agenda with the amendments?
Madam Chair, before you do that, yes. I thought we were going to pull the roof settlement.
I'm just going to make comment and board comment under the advice of our attorney. It's not, is it on consent? Is it there? It's not on consent. Okay. So is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Rose.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. At this time, we need to approve our minutes. They've been listed for us all to read. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Patsy. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. And we have one item on consent tonight, and that is our budget amendment. May I have a motion to accept the consent items?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Patsy. Any further discussion? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. At this time, we have a request for appointment to the Alamance to the Alamance Community College Board of Trustees. It is time for our board to make a selection and appointment. So the Alamance Burlington Board of Education is seeking interested applicants for appointment to the Board of Trustees to Alamance Community College. Alamance County residents with an interest in serving in this capacity should forward their letters of interest by Friday, May 18th, 2018 at 5 p.m. to Marie Chavis here in our district office. Good.
When will we vote on that?
At the night meeting in May,
okay.
We will receive the letters of interest once they're submitted by May 18th. And I believe that appointment starts July 1. So we could even wait till the June meeting if we needed to. Very good. At this time, I'm going to call on Miss Jenny Faulkner, who's going to share in our recognitions.
Good evening. We've got two different state level awards to recognize tonight. So our first group I'd like to invite forward is our students who are here tonight to be recognized for Governor's School appointments. If you'll please come forward. We have a couple of students who are not able to be here tonight. I think they are participants in the Western High School play that happens later this week, and they could not miss play practice. So we will send their certificate and honor them in absentia. So this year will be the 55th anniversary of the North Carolina Governor's School. And that was started in 1963 by Governor Terry Sanford, and it is the longest running summer residential program for exceptional gifted students in 10 different areas of their interest. And students can apply in the fields of English, French, Spanish, mathematics, natural science, social science, art, choral music, instrumental music, theater, and dance. It's a rigorous application process, and these students that are standing before you tonight are some of the best of the junior class of Alamance Burlington Schools. So some of the students will be attending Governor's School East, which is held on the campus at Meredith College for 5.5 weeks this summer. And they are, let's honor them first. They are Isabella Exum, and I don't believe she was able to be here tonight. We wish her well. She is going to participate in the field of dance. Kevin Lee from Western Alamance High School. Kevin, congratulations. He's participating in social science. Mervin, are you here? Mervin Pius from the Alamance Burlington Early Middle College. Congratulations. And let's see, Mervin is participating in mathematics. Really, Mervin? 5.5 weeks of mathematics, and you're choosing to do that? Congratulations. And Vaughn Roy from Western Alamance High School. Vaughn is also in the field of mathematics. Vaughn? Not here tonight? Okay. Well, we'll make sure that they get their certificates. But these folks will be going to Meredith College this summer for an enjoyable experience. In addition to the ones going to Governor's School East, these next students will be going to Salem College for Governor's School West for the same amount of time during the same time frame, June to July. Samuel Crane from Southern Alamance High School. Samuel is going also in mathematics. Congratulations. Simon Fournier Lanzoni. Simon from Williams High School. He's going for instrumental music for the cello. Jason McBain from Western Alamance. Jason is going for instrumental music percussion. Congratulations. Hannah Nee from Western Alamance. Hannah is going in the field of mathematics. We've got a lot of really smart mathematics students.
I never applied for that.
Yeah, me neither. Savannah Pitts from Southern Alamance High School. Savannah is going in the field of natural science. Congratulations. And Sydney Perea from Western Alamance. I don't believe Sydney could be here either. I think she's in the play this week. And she is participating in choral music soprano 1. So congratulations to these students. This is a statewide accomplishment. There are over 600 students out of all of the high school juniors in North Carolina that are selected for this rigorous opportunity. I've heard it said that these students, when they go to this event, they are, meet lifelong friends. So you've got a lot to look forward to. I'd like to hear from you. What are you looking most forward to? What are you so excited about that you can't wait for this to begin?
Okay.
Can you think of something?
I'm most excited about learning new things about natural science and continuing my education.
I'm most excited about being able to leave the house finally.
Probably meeting new people. Getting my worldview challenged. I think meeting new people, as well as being in like a different ensemble, because I've never played with an orchestra before, and West is all orchestra. So
so I can't top leaving the house. But we will ask, yes, Mom and Dad, it's going to come, trust me. So we would like to invite any parents that are here to please stand and be recognized. We know you're a big part of their academic success. So parents, please stand, and certainly if there are any of our administrators, principals that are here also for your students, please stand. So, yay. Well, thank you.
Number two's parents. Who's number two's parents?
They're back there in the white sweater and the ones that went woohoo. We want to thank you for supporting your students, and we want to wish each of you a wonderful summer away from the house. And I'll just say, go Meredith, because I'm a grad. So have fun on that campus as well as Salem. So thank y'all so much for being here tonight.
Congratulations. For our next state level awards, we have 3 educators from South Graham Elementary who've earned a very special North Carolina recognition, and I would like for them to come forward along with their principal. Elizabeth, it's just you tonight? Well, come right on up. So Miss Stamper has got the privilege of having 3 of her educators on staff who have earned the Global Educator Digital Badge. This is a professional development opportunity where they have to submit 100 hours of work and a capstone project to earn this designation. And I'd like to get Miss Stamper, if she would mention just something about it, but I'll go ahead and tell you who the educators are. They're Meredith Eubank, and unfortunately she's out sick, which is not good. Jenna Hazelwood from South Graham, and Christine Cisco from South Graham. So Ms. Stamper, what does this mean for your school and for these educators to earn this distinction?
Well, first off, okay, it does work. Okay. First off, Christine and Gina got the time mixed up. They thought it was at 6. So I was texting back and forth, so they feel really bad that they're not here tonight. As far as the capstone process and the Global Educator Digital Badge, it just really means a lot as far as how to be able to work with students and give them a global education. Gina's and Christine's, both of their projects were on engineering and STEAM. Christine's particular project was on landfill music harmony, where in South America they take all the trash. In Brazil, they take all the trash and they create musical instruments from that. So she did the engineering part of that. Gina's was on immigration, where they interviewed different people from, I believe, 6 countries. And the kids were able to Skype with these people and ask them any question they could come up with, and really talked about the assimilation of people coming from other countries into Graham, North Carolina. And then Meredith Eubank's project was on time zones around the world. Elapsed time for 2nd and 3rd grade is a really hard concept, but she used all the zonal times from Paris to, I believe she used Hong Kong, New York, and they talked about what the different time zones mean, what would be the different activities that would be going on. So it's just another world view that these teachers were able to give our students. Christine is our STEAM teacher, Gina's our media specialist, and Meredith is our LIG teacher. So these were all teachers that work with a lot of our students.
Well, we know it takes an administrator standing behind our teachers to give them that support, so we thank you. Please express our gratitude, appreciation, and congratulations for their hard work. I know it's making our students, provides a great opportunity for them, so thank you so much. And shall we have you present those at your school?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So at this time, we normally have public comment. However, I have no requests for public comment this evening. So we will move on. So the board has been discussing the possibility of putting into effect a policy on safety. And board members, you were emailed this policy to take a look at. We did discuss it at our last work session. Adam provided us an actual policy for us to review and discuss. So at this time, I'll ask if there's any discussion on the policy that Adam has sent us.
And this is the live shooter drills, right?
Well, what the policy states is that any drill, fire, active shooter, a tornado,
Gotcha.
all of that is covered under this policy. The procedures would be designed by the administration and their staff, and work with law enforcement and fire and whoever else. So it does include that opportunity to create those types of drills. Adam, jump in if I'm not right.
Yeah, I can't seem to pull it up, but I was a little bit concerned with some of the language. It was really long, but it in reading it, and I can't remember exactly the areas, but there are some areas in here that conflicts with other parts of the policy. The one regarding search, we need to look at searching children by law enforcement. We need to look at the other policy. I can't think of the name of it. It's 42 something. But we just need to make sure we didn't have this at time, that there's no conflicts or that we're giving contradictive information from one to the other.
So this was for discussion tonight, and we can certainly give direction to Adam to pull those things up that you have concerns about, and we can then address that work session as well, those changes.
This wasn't intended to be first reading tonight, was it?
No, it's just discussion.
Put it
Anything
on the
else?
work session agenda for first reading.
Okay. So
Time to look at it.
if everybody's in agreement, we'll put this on first read for work session, and I will get with our attorney to talk about some, or if you have concerns and you want to shoot them to me, well, that was not a good word. If you will pass them to me, I will get them over to Adam.
Dr. Harrison, could you put this on the website for public input before we put it up for first reading?
We can. Great.
Any other discussion around the policy? Okay. Then we were going to move forward, and Dr. Norfleet has a presentation for us on school safety and what we are doing.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Harrison, community stakeholders. In lieu of everything that's going on in society, we wanted to provide the community with a summary of program activities, district-wide initiatives that we currently have in place to address safety, violence prevention, and student inclusion. Our current programs are in alignment with Goal 6 of our strategic plan, which was developed by our community, which highlights safety, having safe learning environments. So just to give you a quick summary of initiatives that we have that are district-wide, meaning that they are available for all students across our 36 schools. We have crisis teams at each school, as well as a district-level crisis team. That team is pulled in the event that we have any immediate crisis at a school that impacts students or staff members. We also have our DREAM team. These students are high school students that serve as role models, specifically student athletes that serve as role models for their peers at the high school, middle, and elementary level. We have our PBIS initiative, which is Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. Many of our elementary and middle schools have school-wide programs that cultivate a system of safety and respect for all. We have our district-wide Safe Tips hotline, and I'll share a little bit more information about that on a further slide. But that is our anonymous hotline that students as well as parents can make text messages or verbal messages in regards to bullying, drug abuse, or any type of crisis. We also have our school safety plans. All of our 36 schools are asked to submit an annual safety plan. We have suicide intervention assessments. All of our student support services personnel are trained and provide assistance in the event that a student mentions any verbal or nonverbal cues in regards of suicide. We also have threat assessments. This would be in the realm of if students make any type of verbal or written threat against school property or another peer. And we have youth mental health aid first aid workshops. Again, all of our student support services personnel have been trained in looking at identifiers for students that may be dealing with mental health issues, as well as we've offered weekend Saturday trainings for other staff members across the district. In regards to our Safe Tips hotline, this is our third year with this initiative. And at the onset, all of our schools were provided with posters and other announcements to make their school communities aware. On the slide, you have the variations of posters that are available at all of our sites. Each site has 6 posters throughout their building, as well as this information with their specific school number posted on their school website. We also have posters in all of our buses. And this information is also posted on our main web page. So in the event that someone has lost their direct number for their school, they can click on our schools on our district's main web page, and it will give them a list of numbers for each school.
Excuse me, do you want,
yes.
And who answers that phone? And what training does that person have?
The contract that we have, there's an automatic service that the text messages or the voicemails are reported out to, and once they are identified with that particular school, they are then routed to the building level principal. And so the building level principal will get an alert that's connected to their cell phone, and from there they're able to tune in and listen to that alert or read that text message, and from there, if enough information is given, detailed information, then they're able to reach out to said student or parent.
How many do we get on an average in a month or a week?
On average, if we look at it on a weekly basis, we may get, at the onset, let me back up, on the onset when it was new, we were getting quite a few alerts. At this point, we probably average about 3 or 4 per week, and sometimes they're just random. We'll have, you know, students that will make comments like, I don't like my mom, or we'll have comments that have caused administrators to call students in and further investigate. I can say we've been fortunate that we haven't had anything that has caused major alert or concern.
Can I add on that, Dr. Murphy?
Sure.
I had, is it SHAC, S-H?
Yes.
Okay, I'm learning. There were several that had mentioned that their posters were either tore slap up or they needed new posters. I had sent that to Dr. Monroe. I just hope we were able to order new ones. But I also want to know what we're doing to advertise this, because I hope we're not putting up a poster and think that's all we need to do for children, because that's not going to happen. When it starts at the beginning of the year, during assemblies and PTO nights and all that, how do we go about marketing this? I'm big on marketing, even if you're selling squash. If you want to make a lot of money and sell a lot of squash, you got to market it. And so what are we doing to get this out so every child is aware of this instead of just hearing about it from another kid?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we have done is we have advised principals to kind of reset this process by either making connect-ed messages to their students and families, and including this information in their newsletters.
I'm sorry,
Well-
Dr. Norfleet.
Yes.
When are these going to be posted?
They're already posted throughout buildings. And to answer the question about posters, actually, a couple of administrators have informed me that they needed new posters, and we have ordered those posters.
Dr. Norfleet, as a parent of a current student, I've never received any type of message, nor have I seen any of those flyers in our schools. I think with everything going on with safety right now, it would be very important to emphasize this once again in some manner. You know, when the students have open house or whatever, I think this information needs to be shared. But I think we need to raise our level of awareness of what we provide. I'm just saying, it's not being critical of you. Like they say, the posters could have been torn down. But I just don't recall having seen any of these in our schools, and I frequent the schools quite often.
And just one more thing, because you know me and Patsy are like Cadney and Lacey on this. I just want us to get the mindset, we adults, that we have a tendency to put everything on the backs of children when it comes to report abuse, tell somebody you trust, an adult. I mean, that sounds really good, but sometimes that's just not what a kid looks at. And I just really hope that we adults that seem to know this will really put this out there to where this will be just a normal for kids instead of them having to hunt something, because with being on Crime Stoppers board and our text to tip thing, you would be surprised at the text that we get about a weapon in school, drugs in school, and all kind of stuff like that. And the best set of eyes are the ones that are in the school. And I just want every child to know that they've got a way out, because they're not going to tell. We adults think we can tell someone you know, tell an adult, tell a teacher. That really sounds good for our benefit, but when it comes right down to it, they are absolutely petrified of retaliation. We've all had the bully, no matter what age we are, and we've really got to get our mindset around that as the adults. So I just think that needs to be really saturated to where a kid knows automatically if somebody's giving them a hard time or anything like that, or they are having something at home, that they know what to do without having to think there's not a way out. We can't keep putting everything on the backs of kids.
Dr. Norfleet,
Yes.
if I could just comment, and I appreciate your work on this. Really like this idea. And I'm not picking on you. Just you used the phrase. You used the phrase a minute ago. You said we've advised principals. I'm just curious, Dr. Harrison, are we requiring the posting of this in schools, or are we leaving this to the discretion of folks?
No, this is not a discretion. We did a serious professional development with it the year it rolled out. We share this at our administrative meeting every summer, and
I mean, because I feel what Ms. Simpson was just saying. I mean, I've toured 2 schools in this month, and we walked almost the entire schools, and I've just not seen these, and it's possible that I could have missed them.
The location for the posters vary at some schools. Some schools, they are near the front office. Some schools, specifically some of the high schools, they're closer to the Student Support Services suite.
Could they be in every bathroom?
No, they're not in every bathroom.
You said, could they be?
Could they be?
That's something that we can definitely look into.
That's a great idea.
I think if we
posted on a school bus.
Yeah, if you told the children, that I don't think the average child knows about this. I really don't. Putting it next to the guidance counselor or the principal's office, it's not going to do it. We need it in where children know that this is available. This should be something that, you know, because if somebody's bullying, they don't walk around looking at the principal's office or the guidance office. They need to know this in their heads, that this service is available. And we just got to remarket it again. I think we started it whenever the program started, but I mean, personally, I just, like we say, we're in the schools. I don't think it's effective, and we got to get it back out there.
And we're sorry, we're all over this. No, we'll be done in just a second. Is this something that the kids get some kind of, what's it called? You have to have it to go to the next class. Your teacher writes your stuff, and the teacher writes the thing that you have to take home to your parents.
Your planner.
Yes, your planner.
book, yeah.
Could that be a print in a planner? In bathrooms, we used to put stuff like this about domestic violence and sexual assault in bathrooms because abusers don't go in the female bathrooms. So it's just, I can't stress this enough. And I know you're all over this, Dr. Norfleet.
Dr. Norfleet.
Yes.
Along the same lines, you know, a small business-like type card that the girl could put in her purse or boy could put in his wallet might be effective too.
We have reordered those small information cards to distribute to students.
Every book bag.
So if it's okay with the board, let's let Dr. Norfleet finish the presentation, and then we can come back to any questions we may have, because I know she's worked really hard on this.
We'll hush.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just one more slide. I just kind of wanted to narrow it down by level, some of the program activities that we have in place. I wanted to make sure that we highlighted student support services teams at all levels, and specifically on the elementary and middle school level, where we make classroom visits as well as small groups to address some of the concerns that may be surrounding bullying or violence prevention. Thank you to Ms. Thompson. We now have buddy benches at all of our elementary schools, so I wanted to add that to the list. Within those lessons, we talk a lot about character education and helping to make sure that we're building the climate of inclusiveness and respect in all of our settings. We look at diversity clubs across the district. In our middle and high school, we have many groups of diverse needs. Specifically with the Family Abuse Puppet Show for our elementary students, focusing on making sure that the language is there to identify what violence and looks like to our younger students. Second Step is a big program also that deals a lot with conflict resolution and teaching students advocacy skills. Of course, we know about our Leader in Me for a couple of our elementary schools. And zones of regulation for those students who may be dealing with issues of anger that may spark behaviors of violence. We're teaching our students at an early age how to look for those triggers or those indicators in our behaviors that may boil over into a possible violent situation. We have several great programs with community agencies. Our Gang Resistance Education and Training is a program that's often co-facilitated with SROs. Wiping Out Abuse and Violence, that's the middle school version as far as working with teaching students advocacy and looking for those indicators of violence and ways to tell someone if there is a problem, as well as the Wise Guys curriculum that many of our middle schools are using. We recently made a partnership with our Dispute Resolution Center. We're currently working with 2 of our high schools, and at this point I think we have served approximately 16 students through that process, and I'm actually looking into expanding on that relationship with the Dispute Resolution Center by having a training for all of our student support services personnel. And we also have superintendent's leadership advocacy, as well as a plethora of ideas and programs through student council at all of our high schools.
And restorative justice.
That would be with our Dispute Resolution Center.
I'd just like to say I'd hope that'll go school-wide one day.
Dr. Norfleet, are the
Yes.
services of Crossroads invited into all of our schools?
That would be with our Family Abuse Puppet Show, yes.
Do they serve all our schools?
All of our elementary schools.
All the elementary schools.
Any other comments or questions for Dr. Norfleet?
I don't know if it's for Dr. Norfleet, but I did want to ask for a follow-up to what I asked about at the work session with the Sandy Hook Promise program.
So we had a conversation about the proposal, and what we found out is a lot of the programs that we currently have in place mirror some of the programs, actually all of the programs in the Sandy Hook Promise package. But what we did do, because it is when we roll out new site-wide initiatives that are not district mandates, we provide that information to principals, and then they make site-based decisions as whether or not they want to start a new program or what have you. So that information has been shared with all of our administrators.
Did anyone reach out to them directly?
Not that I'm aware of at this point.
I don't know how many board members are aware of this, because I don't know if you get these messages during the day from some of the folks involved with North Carolina School Board Association, but the House School Safety Subcommittee on Student Health, they had 6 findings recommendations that they released today, and they're going to present to the General Assembly. And most of those deal with personnel in the schools, school psychologists, guidance counselors, nurses, social workers. But I think the last finding did talk about student reporting of things and reporting. So I think that's something, some legislation that we all can keep our eyes on.
So, in follow-up to my last question, at the work session, I had made a request based on the fact that we had a parent come and speak to us about this Sandy Hook Promise program. And she passes out literature, which I read, and I thought it was very good, and it's free. And so at the work session, I said that I would like for somebody to contact this organization and at least see what they have to offer us, because I mean, I'm not criticizing this at all. I think this is very good, but I don't necessarily believe that everything that's addressed in that program is addressed here. And so I mean, is there a reason why we don't want to do that? I mean, it seems to me that that would be something that would be very easy to follow up on, and we may have some more resources available to us.
I think after that board meeting, Luana, you resent that to the
Yes.
principals, am I not mistaken?
Yes.
And asked them to take a look at it.
Yes.
And to see where there might be gaps, and to reach out to them if there were interest.
That is correct.
So we did follow up on that request, Tony.
I don't know how to express what I'm feeling here, and I don't want to be negative. But, you know, I have a kid in school, and I'm looking at all this stuff up here, and I'm thinking, how am I so out of touch when he has issues and he has problems? And if we have all of this, why doesn't he know about it, or why don't I as a parent know about it? I'm feeling something is missing, and I know that sounds like I'm criticizing, but in this era of safety and with everything going on and with the mental health issues, something is missing. It's not reaching, can I say, the average child like mine? I don't know how to say it. There's a few that I know are in crisis, and I've used a few of these. But I'm feeling something is missing here. You can keep giving stuff to principals and they can keep deciding, but I want to get stuff to the hands of the kids. I want the kids to know what the resources are. I want the kids to know what these programs are. And that's the frustration I'm feeling. It's not directed at you. I'm speaking as a mom. I'm speaking of a mom who's had kids in this school system for, God, 30 years, I guess. And I'm in these schools. I'm PTO president. I don't know half of this stuff. And I don't think the average kid does. And that's what we got to get it. We got to get this knowledge in the hands of our children in order for them to be able to use the resources. So don't take it as negative, but I'm feeling that right now, and I'm feeling that it's so greatly needed. All of these wonderful resources, but it ain't no good as long as they on a piece of paper and the children don't know where to go and who to contact and know what we have. That's what I think we're all saying, whether it's Sandy Hooks or whatever. It's good for the counselors to know, but once again, I'm pleading for, as a parent who with a 16-year-old in the school, and I bet if I asked the average kids, they couldn't even tell you. I think I might try that for the remainder of this week. I'm going to ask. I want the copy of that. I'm going to ask and see if they know, and if so, something is wrong.
I'm going to add to that. The Family Abuse puppet shows, I did those for 8 years because I was their community educator. Every third grader has them, but every child doesn't conveniently get hurt in the third grade. They could go all the way through. The WAVE program, I wrote that in '09, and Randy Bridges put that in all middle schools for 8th graders. So if he was ever in the 8th grade, he went through that. But there's the 9th grade, there's the 10th grade. The cool things about programs like that, they're real hands-on. A child doesn't have to seek them. They sit and they have them, and that's the difference. And it depends. When I did the WAVE program, I had DSS, law enforcement, juvenile probation, and our battered women's shelter were presenters. So we covered everything. I don't think it has those partners now. And then dispute settlement is about the restorative justice, but you have to break the rules to get restorative justice. The preventive part of it, you know, was looking, I mean, with what kids are coming in from and what they're facing in their homes and just the environment everywhere else. Sometimes I'm sure they feel like they've got a giant target on their back, and every year there can be something. You can't never have enough prevention in a school system. You just can't, but you've also, it's just a hard call. I mean, abuse is never conveniently that year that you have that program available. It's never like that. And we can't tell kids enough, but they still have to make that decision to disclose, and that's the hardest thing they're ever going to do, because once you disclose, the whole world knows if you're a kid, you feel like that.
Dr. Norfleet, can you go back to, I think it's your first slide that talks at a high level about the different components of our program. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Can you explain the threat assessments? Who is involved in that? How are they initiated? Just talk to us a little bit about that.
So in the event that a student makes a comment that is threat in nature, whether it's to another student, whether it's to school property, whether it's to personnel, that is brought to the attention of our building administrators along with the student support services rep. And from there, there's an assessment tool to kind of determine how lethal the comment is. And from there, we either call in mobile crisis if we feel like it's to the point where it may be lethal. We call in mobile crisis, or we also inform the parents, and we also at that point the administrator will determine what discipline measures will be taken from there.
What's the role in any of these in terms of prevention? The role, the role is probably the wrong way to say it. In what way might social media trigger any of those kinds of response teams?
You mean in regards to a threat assessment, or in regards to?
Yeah, I think that yes. In what way would a social media post, if monitored at all, would be taken by any of the folks that you talked about and begin to raise the flags that would bring together that kind of cross-departmental team?
So usually when there have been times of some type of social media post, it's usually brought to school personnel's attention by a student on one of those platforms. Sometimes that may be the first contact, may be someone in student support services. Sometimes it's in administration. At that point, if there are discrete identifiers, administrators as well as student support services may be begin the investigation process from there. And from there, it's determined what later action will take place, whether it's interviewing multiple students, whether it's informing parents, whether it's informing, SROs, etc.
And as far as you're aware, is anybody within our system or law enforcement proactively checking for those kinds of messages that might be out there? Or is it more in response if somebody reports them?
It's more in response. We talked months ago with a group that kind of monitors a little bit. but we went back and forth. We actually revisited and a couple times. Things typically get to administrators or law enforcement fairly quickly. We had something at one of our schools last night, and by 10 o'clock, Jenny, or so, it was resolved. We had 2 things that popped up a week after there were issues elsewhere. There was a CHS, there was a SAHS, and by the time it's exploding is the wrong word to use, but by the time it's all over social media around here, there's somebody who's been arrested in some other state, and it had been taken care of. But our sheriff's department and our police departments have been really good, and Dr. Monroe gets on that pretty quickly if anything is reported to. I think students are much more sensitive to this now than they were 6 months ago, and whereas they may have let some things go, I don't think that's happening now. I feel as confident as you can feel in today's world that our teachers, our principals, and our students are on top of it.
Dr. Norfleet, could you go back to the other slide you were on a minute ago? I just want to make a couple of comments. When I look over this, I just wanted to recognize that I see a lot of our community partners that are stepping up to help with a number of things. Our municipalities and our county law enforcement do a lot to serve our schools in that capacity. The Leader in Me, we saw a financial donation for that just recently. When I look over it, there's a lot of organizations and individuals and people that contribute to that. And I just didn't want that to go. I didn't want to list them all because I know I'd leave somebody out, but I just see Family Views, Crossroads, and see a lot of people that in the community that are helping us achieve those goals. And so I just wanted to recognize that we're appreciative of their efforts.
Absolutely.
I also want to say I'm disappointed in the response about Sandy Hook Promise. So when we were interviewing our superintendent, one of the questions that I asked every single candidate was, how do you handle the tension between principal autonomy and the need for us to sometimes have consistency across the school system? And this is exactly what I'm talking about. And when you use the phrase, we've advised the principals, or when we say we've given it to them and asked them to reach out if they want to, I'm not satisfied with that response.
And let me say, that's on me. That's not on Dr. Norfleet.
I appreciate that, but we have somebody who stood before us and gave us something that was free, and all we have to do is make a phone call. And I really think we owe it to our students and to the people who come and take their time to come and speak to us that we follow up with these things. And we have a resource out there that's available to us that could improve the safety of our students. And I just think that somebody centrally should make that contact and see what those services are and see how we can integrate them if we need to. And I believe in principal autonomy, but I believe there are some things that we need to do centrally and consistently. And I'm making the request that that be one of those things.
I've got 2 very quick things. The first is just, can we make sure that this presentation is publicly available? I don't think it made it onto the agenda website, and thank you for putting it together. The next is, I think I know the answer, but I don't want to say it incorrectly. Could you, I know this is almost all focused on prevention as opposed to a response, but most people are unaware of the number of school resource officers that we do have within our system, and I know that that is a topic within the community. So Dr. Harrison, would you mind just, or Dr. Norfleet, whoever's in best position, just the number and the schools that are covered currently by having full-time or part-time school resource officers on site?
Dr. Monroe can correct me if I'm wrong on this. We have full-time at all of our middle, high schools, and we have part-time in all of our elementary schools. And we're working with Mebane, Graham, Burlington, Sheriff's Department, and now Elon Police Department.
And that is not the case, you know, at many systems. So I just want to, one, applaud, you know, this board, the administration for prioritizing that and the community partnerships that enable that to be the case in so many of our schools. I think that is a really positive thing within ABSS.
I think, did we not have 1 or 2 schools where the principal elected to do restorative justice?
We have 2.
Can we get that added to the list? Or is it
It's the Dispute Resolution Center. Restorative justice falls under the dispute resolution.
Specifically put it up there
Sure.
because I know that is one of those items too that I kind of wrestle with. You know, Pam and I had talked about that for the longest time, and sometimes it concerns me when it's school-based decisions, when, you know, the program is fantastic. And here recently, we've received some information from other school systems and from the city of Durham, in which restorative justice is just doing some fabulous things. And with our effort to decrease the out-of-school suspensions and the desire to want children to be able to learn how to resolve issues, it just mind-boggling to me. I'm not a principal, but I just cannot believe that would not be a program that would be throughout system-wide. I just, you know, it bothers me. But however, I've been told that that's a school-based decision, but I would like it up there because it's a very impressive program and one that teaches wonderful skills and could just help us tremendously in reducing our out-of-school suspensions, and particularly for African Americans and African American males. And it bothers me that it's not district-wide.
I'll make that update and share it with you.
With restorative justice, when we brought it to, they came here and presented our work session and everything. Is that a contract, or is that per school, or is that per child, or how does that work?
It's a contract that gives us a particular number of mediation sessions during the course of the school year. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but we've contracted for the 2 Western Middle and Western High School.
Well, Western High School didn't take it.
That was who the original,
Right,
and then we reallocated it to Williams High School.
Is there anything else for Dr. Norfleet? Thank you, Dr. Norfleet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it
Great
very
job.
much. I do believe we are moving to Dr. Thorpe for a discussion on custodial services.
I'd just like to say that was a fantastic article about our very own superstar, Dr. Thorpe, who is really 12 people at any given time, and I'm glad you got, good job, Jessica. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I feel like everybody's right arm.
Well, some days I find the right foot, but that's okay. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board of Ed, Dr. Harrison. We have done a lot of work in looking for our next custodian contractor. We interviewed we had 4 companies to apply or to respond to our RFP. We have interviewed all 4 companies. We have put together basically some very important points with each group. After a lot of discussion, a lot of research, we are recommending that the board consider the Bud Group to enter into contractual services with for our contract services. The pay rate that they provided is not exactly in line with ours, but it's very close to what we offer. They offer strong benefits for employees. They have the ability to provide a lot of supervision. They give us a breakdown, and this is the average manual we get with custodial RFPs. They're extremely long. They provide us with a lot of information. They give us breakdowns of a managerial style. that we would appreciate that would actually help our cleanliness of our schools. Their contractual price includes their purchase of the chemicals, where in the past we have purchased chemicals. We want to put that process back over on the vendor, as you know, we'll give them our standards, and they must maintain our standards with the chemicals. Our current employees will remain our current employees until they decide to resign, retire, or move on to something else, and at that point, the contractor will take over that position. Our current employees will fall under the supervision of the contractor, so we have consistency across the district in the cleanliness of schools.
Is that like the bus driver thingy out there at Western?
It will remain as is. The Bud Group is who we have selected, and they have also graciously in conversation looked at encouraging their employees to also be bus drivers for us and would work with us on a schedule to make that work. The biggest thing you would see in the school, day porters would be used during the day to take care of coincidentals, take care of bathrooms, cafeterias, emptying trash. They would bring teams into our schools after the students leave, where they can be a thorough cleaning of the school done in a timely manner, also without interruption to our students and without interruption to our teachers. Day porters are important because we know there are going to be coincidentals that happen. We know there's going to be bathrooms that get messed up, toilet paper that have to be refilled. But to sanitize or to clean a bathroom or to clean an area really well with students in the building is very difficult. And just to pick on a high school, if you've got 55 minutes to clean 7 rooms, you're only spending a few minutes per room. Like this, they have the evening. They can schedule their day to where they can do a thorough cleaning and also be able to buff and do things within our hall.
So Dr. Thorpe, I have a quick question, or maybe not a quick question, but so the current company that we have hires their own employees?
Correct.
Okay, so would this group re-interview those people?
This group,
Bring their own team?
okay, this group will more than likely bring their own management team in or hire their own management team. But the employees that we have as custodians now, there'll be an interview pool for them. They'll be interviewed. If they pass their standards, they will be hired to come to work for us or to come to work for them in the same capacity or maybe a higher capacity than what they're in now.
Where is this company located?
Out of Winston-Salem.
And go back, what was the term that you was using for the people that are in the school during the day?
They call them day porters.
Day quarters?
Porters.
Porters,
yes.
And will they be working for ABSS or do they work for this company?
That will be a combination of folks. If we already have daytime custodians in schools that we want to keep as the day porters, the company will allow them to continue with the day porters, that position.
Okay. How do we distinguish the ABSS employees and what they are required to do versus the day porters or the contract people?
Okay, and that's...
We put a lot of blame on this company, but we got employees too, whose job is to clean the schools.
And that's the reason that our employees will answer to this company as far as their standards. They'll go through their trainings because they have training with new equipment they're going to bring in. We will move the responsibility of our folks, like I said, the responsibility of our folks and their work and their supervision will come through the Bud Group. Of course, they don't hire, fire, or pay those folks, but they will supervise those folks for us.
Okay, do we still have a individual who works for us whose job is to go around to all of the schools and assess or supervise our employees? Is that person still working for us?
We still have that person, although his role changed several years ago in a lot of different ways, to repairing old equipment, to moving equipment, to a lot of things differently than just being able to do the inspections in the schools.
So that's not his job anymore?
Well, it was a portion of his job.
See, I think what I'm trying to get is, I think we, the board, since we have to approve this contract, we're really not sure who does what and when. And we always put the blame always on the contracting company. but there needs to be somebody that supervise the employees, or is it up to the principals to supervise them? Something is not.
It's a combination thereof. Let me tell you my plan. Maybe that'll help clear this up. With the Bud Group or whichever group you decide, when they're coming in, bringing in $500,000+ worth of equipment, we're going to replace all the old equipment. There'll no longer be a need to haul this buffer from this school to 5 different schools or whatever. Each school will be equipped with its own equipment, or the contract company will be responsible for moving it. Okay, so that's going to take that off of this person. I've already had a conversation with this person that his job then will be to provide supervision along with the contract company to our employees, but also to do sanitation inspections outside of what the contract company is required to do. But we'll be doing our own sanitation inspections as well, and will report back to me. Now, I'm not going to send them through anyone else, because I think this is this important. He'll report back to me monthly of negative findings.
What you mean sanitation? What is that, like Inspector 12? I mean, what you talking about?
When I say sanitation, it's going in and making sure the bathrooms have been sanitized. Going in, making sure the floors are clean. We don't have those dusty lockers that are such a pain. We don't have paper stuff behind stuff. We're creating a laundry list now of issues we have currently, and that'll be his first role, to make sure all that laundry list of stuff gets cleaned up.
Well, is that a double position? Because is Bud Group, see, it's like we got two countries here. Is Bud Group the big boss? And even though they are ABS employees, they're separate? Or we got a coup? I mean, I don't understand.
Okay, it's kind of like anything else. When I contract with folks, I assign a project manager to it. So if I do a building process or anything, I assign one of my guys as a project manager. Their job is to make sure the job is done correctly, to make sure we don't have issues with the contract, and to make sure all our particulars that we have discussed are taken care of. So that's this person's role, in the sense to make sure what we say we're doing or what they say they're doing is true and accurate.
Dr. Thorpe.
Dr. Thorpe.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay.
I'm looking at this from a principal's point of view. If I'm the principal of a school in our school system, and I go out and I see something's not being cleaned, I want to go to the person that cleans that area, not have to do an end run around by some other management, because I'm responsible for that building as principal. Now, as the principal, we're not taking the principal out of this equation, I hope.
No, sir, we're giving the principal support. The principal has the daily duty of making sure that building remains clean, and if there's areas that need to be addressed, they have the ability to directly address the individual employee or employees. When I say we're giving them support, not only will the Bud Group have supervisors who their job is to make sure everything's perfect or as close to perfection as we can get it, they will also check with the principal to make sure he or she's not having issues with one individual or has had to address an individual. And because the cleaning is going on at night, a lot of times when the principal's not going to be available, this person will be there to maintain and make sure everything is going as planned. So yes, the principal will not only have the same responsibility, he will just have more support readily available to him and someone checking in with him or her.
Is this just a one-year contract for us to assess and look at and to decide if things are better than it is now, or is the contract for longer than that?
We've actually not written the contract yet. We want your approval to go with this group prior to doing the contract. So that's a good question. I think our standard contract is 3 years with 2 one-year renewals. Is that correct, Adam? Our standard contract. That's usually what we do.
Okay, considering that we still have this experiment going on in the western zone, it's an experiment, right, in regards to ABSS employees / bus drivers. At some point, we need to assess whether that's actually working and if that's the best thing for us to do. I would hate for us to be in a 3-year contract and then we decide, no, the situation that we have at Western can be expanded throughout the school system. And then So I would caution a 3-year, and 3 years is too long if it doesn't work out. I mean, if we find out it's not working, the schools are still in the conditions that they're in, I would hate for us to have to sit back for 2 more years. And then the last question would be, how much more is this costing us to use the Bud Group versus the other company? Have you negotiated the amount, and what is it going to cost?
We've not come down to a final negotiation. Like I said, we're going to negotiate contract. Now, right now, it looks like it's about $500,000 more overall.
Wow. And that's with 4 or 5 less schools, the Western Zone.
Can I ask a question?
Let Shannon.
That's including that. That's like where we are now.
That's including those schools.
That's including the Western Zone?
Yeah, I'd like to see that broken out. How are we going to determine if that is working at the Western Zone? If we don't have it broken out, can we get it broken out and then look at it? I mean, it's got to be some way of doing that. And I mean, am I just speaking off of the top of my head? I thought it was a test. And at some point, the year's almost over, a pilot, that we were going to reassess it. Am I?
You're right.
Okay. I mean, that needs to take place.
So what I'm hearing you ask for is the cost of the Western Zone pilot program we've run. And then what is the cost of the Bud contract, estimated contract, which they haven't drawn up yet. Is that
and
what
then
I'm
how long are we going to conduct this pilot in the Western Zone before the decision is being made that that's something that we can take throughout the school system? And based upon that, that would determine how long this contract should be with the Bud Group. I mean, shouldn't you, just because 3 years is the standard, doesn't mean that that's what we need to do. We need to be in control and being able to say, no, it's not working out, and change it sooner than 3 years.
The pilot has been working. We started out in this process saying we were going to either expand the pilot or go with contract. It would be much more expensive to expand the pilot to further schools than going with contract. And we're at a point right now that the contract expires, so we're without, and I think so we're without services effective July 1st. Again, so we've, the big concern at Western, a big concern at Western was bus drivers. That has taken care of itself. We still have a couple slots for additional bus drivers that we've not been able to fill, so if there was something that didn't work with the pilot, was we thought we'd have many more people interested in doing those dual positions than we did. So Todd weighed both sides along with Shannon, and we decided let's go out for bids to see what it would cost, and it came in much less expensive than it would have had we continued the pilot. So that's why.
So are we going to discontinue the pilot then?
I think we'll phase that out because now this group will allow us to use their employees as bus drivers when the other group would not. Is that correct, Dr. Thorpe?
Correct.
Can I just ask a question? At one time, maybe it was before I come on in 2012, everybody that did custodial services was ABSS employees. And then ABSS decided to go with a contract company and phase in the ABSS.
About 08 when I was.
Okay. So we decided then that the contract company, and we would pull in the ABSS and they'd all be one happy family. But yet they're totally different.
No, what it was is, sorry, I mean.
No, help me.
So it used to be all custodians were all ABSS employees, and the decision was made to contract it out to save money on benefits, is what I understood it to be, and that there was a transition period where it was moved in through attrition. So we didn't make everybody who was a current state employee automatically become a contracted employee. As people retired and moved on, we replaced them with contract people. And so I guess now, except for some people who've been with us a long time, most of those people have turned over and are, so the wave of contract has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger over the last, I don't know, 7, 8, 10, 12 years, whenever it was done.
So, but now we're looking at not doing the Western thing and having all contract, but we'll still have some ABSS employees left that'll be under Bud's supervision. So why do we need this man that's going to supervise something? Why
Let me
isn't
go back
the
to my-
principal the real telling Bud keep my school clean? I'm just trying to figure out why we need this person.
Well, this person is already employed with us. Okay, so that person's already on our payroll. You know, that person, like I said, anytime we do any type of contract, it's good to have someone on our staff that actually oversees it. A lot of the cleaning will go on at night, a lot of the cleaning will go on in afternoons. This person's gonna have to be flexible to really check and double check and triple check behind folks, and to make sure you're getting, as a protection for us, to make sure we're getting what we pay for.
But he wasn't doing that the last year or two, when the schools was in a bad condition.
The last year or two, and I had this conversation, I think, during the work session, that our equipment had gotten so old, that everything had gotten so old and we were down so much in equipment, we were using him to do equipment repair and to do some stuff that we had to do to keep the day-to-day chores going.
And that wasn't a part of the contract with, what was the other company?
Premier.
Premier.
The part of the contract with the other company was we provided our own equipment.
Mm.
Okay, we did not replace equipment in this district. I probably bought more equipment in the last year and a half than the district bought over a 5 or 6 year span.
So what are we going to do
And
with
I
that
didn't-
equipment?
wait a
we
minute,
just
wait-
bought? I don't know
I know,
this stuff. I just
know.
need to understand.
I didn't, I bought stuff such as vacuums, backpack vacuums, maybe a buffer or two, things that they'll continue to use. Our folks will be able to continue to use. The benefit right now for us is, truthfully, I need to purchase $500,000 to $750,000 worth of equipment to clean and maintain schools the way they should be. They purchase that and bring it to the table as they come. They will get rid of all mops in our school. Everything will be done with microfiber. So you lose a lot of the allergy pieces. They will use chariot, like the hospitals use chariot cleaners to clean halls with. There's a lot of things that will change in a positive manner for our students.
Can I've got a couple questions. It's only based on the information that we have in the attachments that were sent to us. The other companies, I don't want to use their name, but finalist A, as opposed to the Bud Group, well, I guess it's public information, right? At this point, it's not like, so SSC, right? So I'm happy to see that the recommendation is not them on face value, because they're $200,000 more. Their bottom line was $3.4 million. Their proposal was very detailed compared to Bud Group. Bud Group, all I'm looking at is categories. And on face value, their labor cost is cheaper, which is good. You know, 2.2 million versus 2.7 million. Their other category is very high compared to SSC, in trying to compare the two at 638,000 compared to 400,000. And Bud Groups, they list it as corporate regional support and profit is $320,000 compared to $70,000 in SSC. So I don't have the detail to understand this, but it looks like their labor cost is significantly less. Their materials and other support to those folks is sort of ballooned in the middle, and a whole lot going to the corporate office. I mean, you've seen obviously much more detail than the summary that we received. Any idea why that profit category is 4 times the amount of SSC? What are we missing there?
Yeah, it's how people choose to show those numbers a lot of times.
But what makes it up?
I'll be honest with you, we went away from those numbers. We were looking for what gave us the best quality. How they pay their folks, what kind of structure they have for our folks, what kind of structure they have for our school. You know, their profit is, like I said, it's reported. I've seen it where it's reported as straight profit. Some of it's reported as, how is it put?
They list Bud listed as corporate and regional support, overhead and profit. So I'm imagining that's going to pay corporate staff who oversee people in the field, just an assumption, as well as their overhead and their profit built in. But the difference there, 320,000 versus 70,000, is just, it certainly piques interest of what's included there. The other is in that middle category. They're miscellaneous. They include as their miscellaneous, which they say parentheses background checks, is the only thing listed, $140,000 compared to the other one that's $10,000. Now, their miscellaneous obviously includes a whole lot that SSC disaggregated. So it's just hard. I'm just saying from this seat right here, for me anyway, as one individual, it's very hard to compare these apples to apples when one's in a detailed granular basis and the other has 7 categories that make up their total. It's hard to know what you're getting, and are we overpaying in terms of how much is going to corporate sport. It goes back to sort of your point, and versus people on the field. It doesn't even include the number of employees. Do you know how many employees that covers?
I can find out all that information.
That'd be important, because the other one said about 115 employees, people in the field on the ground. It'd be important to know, are we getting that many or less people cleaning schools?
Well, like I said, we got 3 binders. The team sat down, we went through the binders. We tried to compare apples to apples of what was important for the cleanliness of schools. Now, you know, we're at an option that if we'd like, I can bring in 1 or 2 groups, 3 groups, all 4 groups, and let the board interview them if they would like. We got a quick turnaround time. They've got to make that transition.
Yeah.
I'm
just struggling to know what it is. I don't want to, it's just hard to know without the details, but.
I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but we're paying a lot of money for whichever company we get, and they have supervision. And we're paying them to trust them to clean our schools the way our standards are expected. I'm still trying to figure out what this guy's doing. I mean, I don't even know who the guy is, but I don't know why we need a guy to check on people that we're paying big bucks to that's supposed to do it right anyway. And then the principal plays a part in that also. I'm sorry.
And that's why I feel like, you know, we put so much the last company. I think there was a lot of negativity about it. I don't know. We didn't even know as a board what they were responsible for versus our full-time employees. We didn't know about the equipment. We didn't know, at some point, I think there was a reduction in hours for that company. We didn't see the contract. We don't see the contract now to be able to read it. And we knew this was happening. We knew that, I mean, I'm not criticizing you, but we knew that this contract was going to be expiring. And we knew that this board had expressed concerns about the cleanliness of our school. And it would bother me to have to vote on this without seeing the actual contract and without knowing exactly who's responsible for what, whether it's that man or another man. I just feel like we're rushing through something that's really, really important because of our timeline, and I'm just still not comfortable with it. I'm reading some of the reviews. Some of them are good, some of them are bad in regards to this company. I don't know if we got anybody any better. I like the part you said about using the type of cleaning equipment that they use in the hospitals. But unfortunately, I just don't believe, I know some may feel we need to trust you, Dr. Thorpe. I trust you. However, it's a very important decision. And, I would have liked the committee or a group of people to stand before us and look us in the eye, because they're going to be accountable to you and to us. And, I mean, this is just an important thing in terms of cleanliness. And I'm just not comfortable with voting tonight on this without additional information.
We interviewed with a team. We had probably 10 to 12 folks, from principals to maintenance staff to custodial staff. Had a large group of people to interview. If, like I said, Madam Chair, if this board would like to interview these companies, I'll be more than happy to present them to you. We do know we got a transition plan in July, because we do have to have schools ready by August 25th.
And how many schools does the Bud Company? Do you have references?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
we call some of the schools? And
I would welcome you to call any of their references, because we did. I would welcome you to call Winston-Salem Forsyth. That's sort of our neighbor. The reviews were glowing. We did a newspaper search. We did everything else to find what we needed to find out about the companies. So, yes, sir, Mr. Rose. All right, next.
Well, can I,
Wait, let
did you
Tony
find?
go.
Okay.
First of all, I'm willing to support whatever you're going to recommend. So I do think Patsy's right about having a shorter window of time, if that's feasible. I'll leave that to Adam to negotiate. But, I mean, I appreciate really what you do, Todd. I wouldn't have your job for twice what you make. I know this is hard.
Absolutely.
But we only see what we see. And I don't know, honestly, what needs to change. Something needs to change. I don't know if, I have felt like for years that it was the consultant. And I feel like that's part of the problem. But you know, I went through, and we've now renewed that contract twice, and I went through that contract line by line. And if they were doing the things in that contract that they said they were going to do, I don't think we would have these problems. And so, and I hear the talk about the guy. I don't know, with whomever we go with, I think there needs to be a clear list of expectations. I think there needs to be a clear line of distinction about where one person's role ends and the other one begins. You know, what are our expectations for the frequency of doing X? Whether it's mopping the floors or washing the walls or cleaning the bathroom. What makes a clean bathroom? Is it cleaning the toilet and the sink twice a day, 3 times? I don't know. But there just seems to be mixed messages with expectations. I've been into 2 schools this month, and one school, it looked brand new, even though it wasn't. And the other school,
Don't even go there.
I don't want to move forward in haste, and I don't want to criticize people and entities that are not the problem. But whoever gets this job, I want to know that they know their role and we know our role. And if somebody says they've serviced an area of the school and it's still dirty, that somebody owns that. And somebody says, excuse me, you said you dusted, but look, there's dust.
Right.
And I go into other schools. I go into other places. I go through the hospital, I go through Twin Lakes, I go through businesses all over. It seems to me that there is a discrepancy in whose job it is to do each thing. And so I don't want to get a new company and pass the buck and us continue to have that problem. So I'm really wanting the company to put in paperwork into details. We're going to have this many people do this many tasks this many times.
Okay, that's
That's
what's in these notebooks. That's the reason I invited everybody in, if they wanted to look at these notebooks. These notebooks is spelled out. You know, we've spent probably 100 hours or so doing nothing but going through notebooks and reading and trying to decide all that. Now, you know, no matter who we hire, Thorpe's Cleaning Service or whatever else, we're all stepping out a little bit on a limb.
Sure.
Okay, that's the reason it's important for the person that Pam's talking about, for us to have some assurances that, yes, they are doing what they're supposed to do on an everyday basis. Our principals are going to have to step up a little bit, or assistant principals or whoever, but this company's going to force them, because this company's also going to have an electronic inspection that not only they can do, we can do it, Dr. Harrison walking through a building can do it, we can give you access to do it, and grade that school when they walk away. So they're going to be, that's a multiple reports that come in. There's so much that goes on, and I hear exactly what you're saying.
I know you do.
I fight that every day. I've fought it every day for 3 years. So I hear what you're saying. But for the amount of information that you're asking for, the only way I know to provide it, and I'm being totally honest, is to give each one a notebook and call these folks in the interview, because it's hard to break it down.
Phrase what I'm saying, because I don't want you to misunderstand me. I don't want to do your job. Please hear me saying that. I want to provide you with the support that you need to do your job. And I know you've gone through that, and I trust your evaluation of it. What I'm asking you to help me with is, I want us to provide you with the vote, the money, the support, whatever is needed. I want to get behind you and lift you up to solve this problem successfully. I don't want to do something that keeps you behind the 8 ball, that you can't fix this. So please don't hear me saying I want to get in there and do all that.
Well, see, that's what I'm hearing, because
I know, that's why I'm
our committee sat down and we talked and we decided, and we got down to 2, then we had to go and we had to make a hard decision. So we made the hard decision. This is a decision that administrators said, yes, we can work with this group. This is people that I say, yes, I can work with. They come with the references that we need. They bring the equipment to the table. They bring the training to the table. They give me a lot of flexibility. When I say me, my team, a lot of flexibility in saying 4 hours isn't going to work. We got to have more. This group has agreed, and see, you don't know the whole conversation, so I'm going to give you the conversation. This group has agreed, if they got custodians on staff and they have a ball game, we're no longer going to pay for an extra custodian to work a ball game. They will handle the trash. They will handle what they need to do before they go home. If they go home before the ball game's over, the morning staff will take care of it. This group has provided a lot of support for us. And these are questions that we ask them. These are questions, I bet you I sent out 10 different emails as we met with groups saying, hey, we thought about this as a group. We wanted more information from your company. So, this is the company that we picked because we feel like we can work with them. We feel like they're strong. The references came back good. I didn't get into all the money details of it. I want to make sure they paid the people well or paid them decent. I wanted to make sure that they gave them benefits, make sure the folks would want to come to work for them, because the issue we run into right now is the pay is low and there's no benefits. Mm-hmm. So this gives these folks a chance to work for benefits. Are they going to work the same hours? No. Are they going to work to better our schools? That's a yes, hopefully. Any contract we enter into, Adam's the king of language. If we enter into 3, we can give ourselves a way out.
Dr. Thorpe.
We do that all the time.
Is it possible, I'm just off of the top of my head, is it possible for this company and the other company for a 1-year period, divide how many other schools we got, give them half to one, half to the other, and then after a year, give them a 1-year contract, and then after a year, you and your staff and this person who goes around to all the schools make an assessment of who's doing the best job. They know this competition, they want to keep it, and is that a compromise? Could we possibly do that?
Honestly, I'd have to go back to each company to find out how that changes the rate, how much equipment they're going to bring into our schools.
But they don't know we're serious.
Yeah, but they wrote the RFQ based on the
36 schools.
And we've got a very good reason for not recommending the other company.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Everybody that has a part in cleaning a school, a principal, this, whatever, they just do their part.
Well, and that's one thing that's great about this group and other groups we spoke to. They will actually train our principals, if we'd like for them to, or our assistant principals, and what to look for, because their reputation is on the line.
Dr. Thorpe, I want to say that I want to support what you're offering tonight, and I know you're on a timeline, and I want to give you every opportunity to be successful in this. So I don't know about the other board members. I won't motion before they're ready, but I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation with the shortest term that we possibly can get, whatever that is. And I'm ready to move forward on that, and I feel comfortable with what the recommendation is on the Bud group. But I just wanted to say to you, as we move forward, I want us to hold this company accountable to what they contractually are agreeing to doing. And then I want to say to you, Dr. Thorpe, as a board member, that if you're not supported with our staff in them holding their angle of this, then I want you to speak up to that.
I will.
To the superintendent, to whoever is needed to get you to have the support that you need to make sure that everybody that holds a baton in this race has got a firm grip on the baton. Because you're right, it's a partnership. It's a partnership with the principals, it's a partnership with the company, it's the employees, the hybrid contract. I understand everybody's got a role, but we got to make sure that everybody in a role is doing that role. And I just want to make sure that you have the support that you need to step up when things aren't happening.
Well, we feel very confident. We've also had the conversation, and one of the young ladies who's our account rep from the Bud Group is here. She'll be standing before you quarterly. She will be standing before you quarterly. That's not a choice. That's going to be part of their requirements to report out how well we're doing or how bad we're doing. And it's your chance to speak with them directly. I would do it monthly, but I think that's too often, but quarterly to give you a report of what's going on, where's it's going, what's good, what's bad. And like I said, that will give the board an opportunity to speak directly with the management team I'll be working with.
Dr. Thorpe, and I like that too. I like the part that you just said or a few moments ago about them providing some training for our school-based administration, so they will know what to look for and what to expect. It goes back to what Phil Slechte said. Phil was a professor of education at the University of North Carolina years ago. You talked about expectations. Inspect. Mm-hmm. You've got to, our people have to look at it and to let them know what's going on, and that's going to create that mutual respect for everybody. Tony says it different, trust but verify.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, just different.
It's the same thing. So we've got a part to play in this too. It's not just that company's responsibility, because if it becomes just their responsibility, we're not, us not taking ownership for the cleaning or for seeing it's done, we got a problem. So, and I'm with Tony. I'm ready to vote for it.
I'm not after the man. I don't know who the man is.
Tony has made a motion that
Chair, can I
absolutely
just want to clarify exactly what you need as far as the motion.
Just that we enter into contractual agreements with the Bud Group, and we'll bring a final contract back to them at the work session.
Okay, that's perfect. So you're essentially looking for authorization to enter into formal contract negotiations with the final contract coming back to the board.
That is correct.
So this is not a done deal?
This is not a done deal.
No.
It's starting the ball.
It's getting the ball started, correct.
So, does Tony need to restate his motion?
I make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation that we move forward with contractual negotiations with the Bud Group, and at the wish of the board that we have as short a term as possible. And I leave that to y'all's discretion to determine whether that's 1 year, 2 years.
1 year.
The shorter sometimes affects the rate, and I'll leave that to you guys' decision. Just know that because of the history, we kind of like to keep short counts so that we can be more nimble if we have issues.
Okay, so you've made the motion.
That's the motion.
And I'll make the second.
Thank you, Steve. Is there any further discussion?
What's the best way to get the, if we wanted to look at a breakdown of their proposal?
Either you can stop by my office, or I'll bring them to you, or we can, if you know a certain section you want, we'll be more than happy to scan it to you. It's just a large document and try to scan an email.
Great.
So let me get clarification. So you want this vote in order to go into negotiations for a contract. So we still don't know the terms, the amounts, the hours. So I don't know what we're voting on. I don't know why it's necessary, excuse me, to have a vote that really just, I mean, why can't you just go and look and see what they got and bring it back to us so we can see it in writing? I'm confused.
Part of the RFP process?
I'm
Well,
confused.
it's trying to keep everyone involved and everyone on the same page as we go through this. You know, we didn't want to enter in with one group into a lengthy negotiation, spend a lot of legal fees on a negotiation, and the board absolutely say, no, there's no way we want to go with that group. This at least gives us assurance that the money we're spending in legal fees and the time we're spending with Adam, because these contracts can be very short or they can be very lengthy depending on the amount of changes.
Yeah, but I mean, the cost of legal costs versus the cost of $500,000 difference between the current company and this other company, and being that it's a switch from what we had prior to come to this meeting, and now this recommendation, it's just all up in the air. I mean, it was earlier, it was somebody else, and then there's good reason why we didn't go with them. But I don't know what we're approving, because we have nothing. We have no money. We have nothing in front of us. There's nothing to tell me other than your word that this is different from the current company that we have. And you want us to let you go into contract with them. I don't understand that.
You're
It
not.
seems like if we had a contract, we could sit here and read, and Brian can do his math on what he needs to do, and I can compare this company with another company and look at all their ratings. Maybe I'm asking too much, and maybe I am trying to do your job, but I'm just trying to get a better janitorial situation in our schools than what we have. So if I've overstepped my boundaries, I apologize for that. But having said that, I don't know what I'm voting on because I don't have anything here. And you have the authority to sit down and discuss and get these figures and to get the terms without it being in a legal contract. So I'm confused.
I think the way I perceive what's happening is that because of the sensitivity of this issue, administration is trying to make sure that we as a board are informed with each step of the process and giving us the opportunity to have buy-in at this level. I don't think this is binding with this company. This is saying we agree from what has happened thus far with the RFP that this is the best direction to go in and that we're authorizing administration to go in that direction.
I don't know that that's necessary. We haven't ever had that for anything else. They just present a contract, and this is who we're recommending. But when you invite me into a discussion, I want to make sure I have sufficient information to be able to make a vote and make a decision. And I don't have that right now. So my answer is still no, but you can go ahead and go forward. But we're voting on really nothing. Other than Todd, Dr. Thorpe, doing his job, and that's going out and getting the best services for the school system and the best company. And I'm more concerned, our responsibility is cost, and whether they're going to be able to live up to the standards that we have. And I want to see those standards, and I want to see those costs. So, and I don't have any of that. So, in terms of our role as a board and what we vote on, it's not here tonight. In all due respect to you.
The cost.
No, he just said it was an estimate, that it's probably $500,000 more. But I don't know, what am I getting for that? And then there's the Western Zone in those figures, and we need those separated before we know what we're spending on the Bud Company. We don't have that either.
So this chart that you gave us.
That $3.2 million is the amount of their RFP.
I'm sorry, the what?
The $3.2 million.
Right. So this
Is-
breaks it down by contract supervisors, general cleaning, day porter, floor techs, et cetera, et cetera. So this gives us a general overview of each company, which
Yes, ma'am.
I read. And what you're doing is bringing a recommendation of the Bud Group to us to move forward to create a contract for services.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No Western Middle. That will be Bud. That will not be what we got this pilot thing. That'll be gone.
No, ma'am. Western Middle, the Western Zone will stay in place until those employees choose to retire, resign, or move into a different position. They have the option to go to work for the Bud Group if they so choose, but they'll remain our employees out of all fairness to them.
So we're going to call the question. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
We will report back if the board so chooses and wants to review the manuals, or if you have specific questions or information, I will, pull that information for you.
Great.
Because they are lengthy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shannon, are you doing the Elon SRO MOU?
Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Harrison, we bring before you just an extension of our current elementary SRO agreement. Basically, the Elon Police Department has been providing SROs to Elon Elementary as they're able to, as officers are interested. It is an off-duty assignment, as with all of our elementary SRO opportunities. However, because of how small the town of Elon is, they've had a difficult time finding enough officers to be able to provide what they would be able to at Elon Elementary with the funding that we've allocated towards them. So they have talked to Elon University Police Department, and Elon University Police Department has said that they would be interested, and some of their officers would be interested in providing support to Elon Elementary when Town of Elon police officers are not able to, still within the same dollar amount that we originally allocated to the Town of Elon. Under both contracts, we're just splitting some of the funding off into Elon University Police Department. So it would be the same pot of funding that currently is out there, just split between Town of Elon and Elon University. Town of Elon is going to manage the assignment of who's going to be there. It's going to go to Town of Elon officers first. If Town of Elon officers are not able to provide the services on a particular day, then it's going to go to Elon University staff, and they have one person that's going to manage to make sure that two people don't end up showing up on a given day, that they're able to spread out their resources throughout the year. This is only Elon Elementary that is affected by this, and
so you need a vote on that this evening?
yes, just the MOU is an extension. It's the same MOU that we've used with all other departments, and same contract, just splitting it between the two.
Is there a motion to accept this MOU for Elon?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Patsy. Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for your time with Alamance Burlington Schools. We are going to miss you deeply, but we wish you much success, and thank you for all you've done for us. So
Thank you for everything.
And I don't have any parting roses for you, but maybe I'll come to your office before you leave. We are now at board and superintendent comments.
Oh, really? I guess they're going to move.
So we'll start, Tony, at your end, and we'll come down the line if that's okay with everyone. Tony, any comments?
I have commented.
Thank you. Steve? Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, I just want to, I was thinking about budget. I think it was the right move by Chairperson Gailey to not have our budget presentation after such a lengthy meeting, county commissioner meeting with all the public comments, and look forward to us informing the community and our commissioners about the importance of this budget. You know, $1.78 million of that request is an estimate of just continuing our operations to keep largely the status quo. So that is a lot of money, no doubt. But to simply sort of maintain the status quo, that's what we're looking at. Then there's important critical things related to our strategic plan. Touches multiple goals, which is increasing our local teacher salary supplement to a whole 0.5%. That's after 0% the year before that. And only 0.5% the year before that. It was the hope when this community began the process of our vision plan, and then this board adopting its strategic plan, certainly under Dr. Harrison's leadership, that we'd see sustained growth in that local salary supplement of 1% each of the next several years until we were really competitive in the marketplace for the most important assets within our school system day in, day out, which is our teachers, our assistant principals and our principals. And we are not right now as competitive as we need to be to recruit and retain the incredible teacher leaders that we have within our school system. So I certainly hope our county commissioners will be listening to our requests and understanding that 0.5% of an increase in our local supplement to our teachers, assistant principals, and principals is not too much to ask when it is in fact a commitment within our strategic plan that we're already falling behind on. Increasing our specialized programs, enhancing our digital learning initiative, these are all things that are not new. They're not dreamt up. These are planned out multiple years. In fact, we're falling behind on a lot of this. So I just am looking forward to the discussion and the hopefully some public comments in support in the next county commissioner meeting, and then in the June meeting where a lot of our budget is decided. So I was reflecting on that this past week, and the really historic moment that our community will get to decide on the infrastructure, the facilities bond this November, but we have to keep in mind that we are not keeping pace with our strategic plan because of the amount of funding that we have been afforded. It is certainly an increase. 8.8% our budget went up last year. That is a lot of money, but it did not move the dial on our strategic plan. So hopefully this year we can do better than status quo funding year over year. I know, I hope I'm not stealing any thunder. I'm sure Dr. Harrison, who joined in Raleigh, just one of many that want to offer congratulations to Freebird McKinney, who's named North Carolina Teacher of the Year. What an inspiring individual, and not only an exemplary teacher, but somebody who, if you're in our schools, you know, also embodies what is the culture that many of our teachers have. So a great, not only well-deserved individual recognition, but I was so proud for our entire system this week in that deserving recognition. And when you think of the whole ecosystem that needs to support and empower teachers, when you have amazing teachers like that, they can only go so far. It takes their school leadership, central office, certainly a great superintendent, and just a little bit from a Board of Education to really allow those people to be as good as they are. So I was proud for all of us, and thank you for representing our system so well with him in such an amazing week for ABSS.
Patsy?
Excuse me. Wanted to share that Pam and I had an opportunity to spend some time with the fantastic employees in our Student Services Division. I wanted to thank Dr. Norflees for coordinated effort that she did with our counselors and, I guess, social workers and nurses. Pam and I had an opportunity after our normal working hours to provide dinner for them, and we watched the movie. What's the name of the movie?
Paper Tigers.
Paper Tigers, which is a fantastic movie that demonstrates what some of our children are dealing with on a daily basis. And I just wanted to say thank you for coordinating that effort. The last thing that's been on my mind, and I don't have the policies before me, but I just want to make a statement that our administrators need to be really, really careful when it comes to the policy that clearly reads about SRO and law enforcement and what they can do in our school versus what administrators do in our schools. We have to be very careful that our administrators who can, according to the student code of conduct, can take disciplinary actions for infractions, and we need to make sure that they do that, as opposed to having law enforcement in our schools actually investigating incidents that is not of criminal natures and that of which a principal should handle. I've had an opportunity to read our policy, and it's very clear. The policy pertaining to law enforcement, the right to search children, the notification aspect to parents, versus normal disciplinary actions that are not of a legal basis that principals should handle. And we need to make sure that we keep those separate that our law enforcement are in our schools as a guest, and they're there to protect our children with guns and weapons and drugs and things of that nature, but our administrators need to handle the normal day-to-day activities, and unfortunate, some of them leads to disciplinary action because the policies are completely different, and we do not want to have incidents where we're not notifying parents when we should be notifying parents when students are being searched and other things are going on. So just wanted to make sure that when we have an opportunity to emphasize that to our administrators, that be done.
Mark?
Just a couple of things. Just a general reminder that the Alamance County's Got Talent show is slated for Saturday, May 12th at the Vale Tree Event Center. The last set of auditions are tomorrow night. I don't know if it's too late to do a shout out to our choral and instrumental teachers and whoever might be interested out there in the schools for the kids. And so, and then I was at a meeting Friday morning and became aware of a program over at Graham High School that I thought was really intriguing. Doctoral candidates from the University of North Carolina in Greensboro are working with two of the art classes at Graham in what's called the Photo Voice Project. And what the kids are doing, they're being given assignments, and then they go out and they take pictures that meet the requirement of that assignment. They come back in, and then they discuss what they've seen and what they feel. Their first set of assignments was simply to take a picture of something you like and something you dislike. And then their next assignment is take a picture of where you feel safe, where you don't feel safe. And I'm not going to say anything about what the pictures ended up being of, but there will be, sometime in May, there will be a exhibition of the photographs, and I think that the results are going to be astonishing.
I just want to make a comment about strongholds. Strongholds are in families, they're in churches, they're in businesses, they're everything. And what they're meant to do is prevent you from moving forward. It's very disturbing to me when I hear comments on radio shows or emails or in the newspaper about our school system when I know how hard we work. We're not perfect, but we also try so hard every day. And I just really want to publicly thank the county commissioners for being real leaders, whether they voted for this or not, but the fact that they exactly gave Alamance County voters the opportunity to vote for a bond says a lot, because I don't think it's 5 people or 7 people's places. I think it's a county thing. When we did forums for rezoning, we asked everybody. When I did our strategic plan, we asked community leaders. We're not 7 people that run this county or the school system. We're just the representatives, and we always have to listen to those who placed us here and those who didn't, because we're a big team. And I'm just thankful that they had the courage, and I know that was difficult to actually allow a citizen to vote on something that enormous. And I really appreciate it. I really do, because that's real courage.
Can come back around, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say thanks a couple times. First thing I wanted to say thanks and acknowledge Angela and her team who completed the advanced ed project this week, and I wasn't able to meet my group, but I was able to see the end presentation, and I was very impressed with the things they said. And I know it was like herding cats for months. So her and her team did a lot of work, and I didn't want that to go unmentioned.
Well, you just stole my thunder, but
I'm
right
so
ahead.
sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I'll shut up, and,
no, it's
and then
okay.
you can do that. I also wanted to say thanks to Jessica for the article yesterday on Dr. Thorpe. I think it was well deserved, and I'm glad the community had an opportunity to read about some of his efforts, because I know we've been doing it for a long time. But I'm all the time telling people about the value that Dr. Thorpe and his team brings, and all the many things that they do. And he really works behind the scenes to make a lot of great things happen. And we have to have a lot of hard conversations sometimes. And but that article did a good job of showing a little bit of what goes on. And so I really did appreciate that, and I appreciate Todd and his work. And lastly, I was really pleased at the commissioners' meeting that we had so many elected officials stand up and speak on our behalf. It really, you know, when we first started talking about the vision plan and community support for schools, I never thought that I would see a commissioner meeting where we had city council members and mayors standing up, speaking to the commissioners, arguing for our behalf. And that was, I appreciate everybody that spoke, but that was particularly meaningful to me to have Griffin and Ian and Ed and those guys stand up and say what they said. So I just wanted to acknowledge, I know Graham City Council came to this meeting many times and gave us some earfuls, and rightfully so, and helped us in the process that we were going through with redistricting and all. And it was just really nice for them for us to have them on the team and speaking out to make good things happen. So.
And the student council presidents were smoking hot.
The kids were awesome. Yeah. So anyway, I'm done. Thanks, Allison.
Okay. I'll try to be really brief because we still have closed session. We had lunch at Turntime Middle School today, so we want to thank the principal and their staff and their students for having us in their building. Steve, Tony, myself, and Dr. Harrison were there, and we got to see some good things going on. I want to take a moment to thank this board and particularly extend a thank you to Patsy, because this weekend this board agreed to do a supply drive for our neighbors in Greensboro who have been hit hard by the tornado. And Patsy spearheaded the collection and sorting this weekend. None of us were not available to be there, but thank you for taking the time to do that. I appreciate this board's support in getting the word out. And we want to thank Making Visions for being our collection center and distribution for our items over to Greensboro. They've been very gracious, so we thank them. And it looked like a great success. And I know you had a lot of your sorority sisters engaged, so thank you for that. I do want to make a comment on our settlement under the advisement of our lawyer. The board has agreed to settle the roofing issues with Dow at Broadview Middle School, Graham Middle School, Hugh H. Cummings High School, Sellers Gun Alternative School, and E.M. Holt Elementary School for $890,000. The board plans to begin the work on the roofing projects this summer. So our settlement is now done with our Dow roofing. And Dr. Thorpe will get to work really hard on fabulous new roofs. Thank you so much. And then finally, I did want to speak to the accreditation. Again, thank you, Angela, and your team. It was a lot of effort, a lot of work, but you did a great job. And one of the things that stood out to me when I was listening to the presentation was the comments on how this board was very different and very positive. It got a very positive review from, I think, a couple of years back when things were a little more challenging at the time. So I wanted to read a couple of comments. The Board of Education, system administrators, and principals displayed outstanding leadership by engaging a genuine commitment to ensure continuous growth in student achievement. The Alamance Burlington school system engaged in a comprehensive array of stakeholders in the process to develop the system's vision and continue to ensure the support necessary to create globally competitive school system. And the school system initiated and continued to implement a thoughtful and comprehensive strategic plan which clearly aligns resources and intentionally targets student success. And what this does is talk about, and I think in the education world it's called powerful practices, and how that could not have happened without this board and maybe the board before us really engaging in the processes for the vision and the strategic plan. So just wanted the board to know that we got flying colors from accreditation for the work that we continue to do to support our district. So again, thank you for that. And just to echo the comments on the bond, I think it is a wonderful and great opportunity for our community to step up to the plate and support our district through our bond. And we certainly appreciate our commissioners listening to the public to place it on the referendum in the fall. At this time, Brian, do you have a motion for us?
Dr. Harrison, have any comments?
Oh, I do that every time. I'm so sorry. You're good?
He's on mute.
Thank
How many
you.
days?
Okay.
He's on mute.
Brian, 32. He's
Before I do that, would you, point of personal preference only if the board is okay, can I add from my comments? Can I just make one more comment?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So I wasn't going to do this because I think that Ms. Thompson, Mr. Rose, you hit exactly what should be the case, which is the appreciation for our county commissioners to at least see the wisdom of our citizens to vote, and Tony for the unbelievable array and diversity that was up there speaking on behalf of this. I would be remiss, I wasn't going to do this, but I would be remiss if I didn't just at least acknowledge in the spirit that I think we are trying and do by and large have in terms of cooperation with our county commissioners, at least acknowledge the fact that I think that there was a bully up on the bully pulpit when he when Commissioner Lashley called our superintendent and this administration a disgrace. And you got to be careful when you just have side conversations with people that used to work in the newspaper business. So he was quoting me in a conversation, and I'm comfortable with it. So I just want to repeat what I said in response to that, which is that I personally, as one person, have had the good fortune to work for and with some truly remarkable leaders in my life. Bill Harrison ranks right up there with the very best of them. Far from a disgrace, I couldn't be more proud of him. His distinguished service has earned the respect of anyone who shares our community's vision for public education in Alamance County. And it's a shame that there's at least one person in this county who does not see that vision and see the role that Superintendent Harrison has played in our progress. So that was in an otherwise extraordinary night for Alamance County and the support for public education, a downturn. So I just at least wanted to comment on that. So I appreciate the time to be able to do so. I make a motion that we enter closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A3 to preserve attorney-client privilege and 143-318.11A6 to consider confidential personnel information protected under North Carolina General Statute 115C-319 and 115C-321.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Second.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye. We are now back in open session. Ms. Maldron?
Yes, ma'am. Chairman Gant and members of the board, Dr. Harrison, we have 4 items to present this evening. The first, requesting your approval for the August 23rd personnel report.
I'm so sorry. What did you just ask?
Sorry.
The personnel report.
The personnel report. We request your...
That's topic number 1.
Yes.
I move we accept the personnel report.
Thank you, thank you, Tony. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Number 2, we have a list, a short list of certified contract renewals. These are teachers and certified individuals for contract renewal for next year. Request your approval at this time.
Is there a motion to accept the teacher contracts?
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Okay. Third item is a list of administrative contract renewals for the upcoming school year.
Okay. This contract, these are to be amended.
Okay.
As discussed in closed session, which
Okay.
we will get with you on.
Certainly.
So with the amendment discussed in closed session, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Okay, and our fourth item, we have one administrative appointment recommendation, and that is Clifton Davis as a 10-month assistant principal for Broadview Middle School with a start date of August the 20th.
Is there a motion to accept this administrative appointment?
So moved.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. At this time, the Board of Education would like to announce the appointment of Dr. Angela Voss. No? I'm so sorry. I got way ahead of myself. I apologize. Is there a motion on the floor to name the interim superintendent?
I make a motion that we name Dr. Angela Voss as interim superintendent.
Second.
Thank you.
Can you just specify the term?
Yes, for 30 days, the month of June.
For the 30 days, the month of June.
Resecond.
Reset.
That was real official. Do y'all like the way we just did that? Any discussion? Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. At this time, with no further business coming in front of the board, may I have a motion to dismiss, or to adjourn?
I make the motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, Patsy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.